Hey man, you ever look in the flatter?
Okay. I do a lot of these little tests, you know, with different things. And this was one I wanted to share because it was right after a rainfall. Um, Driveway was steaming. Well, the water that was on the driveway, the hot driveway, because it's very hot here in Florida, it started steaming. Plus, after a rain, the air cools down, which allows it really to start steaming because it's going up into cooler air, which it makes the steam more visible. Now, I did some other ones that I'll show later on, or I'll try to make another video of, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. I don't know. I try to do these when I get the time. Um, and one of the things I want to, kind of just point out is the surface compared to the background. And when you start looking at these, you start realizing certain things are occurring, like diffraction. Uh, this is what they're calling refraction, something being lifted up from beyond the curve being brought up. It's actually not anything being brought up because the only way your camera or your eyes can have an optical effect on something if it's within your line of sight. So if something is very, very skinny and small, and it gets magnified, it will rise again in all directions, downwards to the sides and upward. Um, so we get this diffraction line that's going to be here, and in some of the other videos, it's really nice too because I don't have all this steam, even though I try to recreate it with putting water on the driveway. And you can tell it just got done raining. Look at all the garbage in my driveway, all the little sticks, twigs, and leaves. Plus, still, the water's dripping out of the trees and hitting the driveway and splashing water on my camera. Um, but what I want to do is as I zoom in here, you'll start seeing this diffraction line. Also, watch the way this steam kind of rolls around and starts swirling and going in the different directions. Um, that's the spin of Earth, people. That's I had I had to throw that in, but as I start focusing my camera in, closer and closer or further and further out, you start seeing the distortion, in the far um, background and in the foreground. You still see a little distortion on them objects. And them objects are not being lifted up over the curve. As you can see, that leaf is kind of being um, right in the middle of the screen. It's kind of being diffracted downward, or the light diffraction is diffracting up. It's reflecting upward, causing a blockage of the lower portion of that leaf. Now, it could be the unevenness of my driveway, there's no doubt. But then when you start looking at the grass in the background just above, you start noticing that there's this tiny little sliver of mirroring effect going on. And it becomes more prevalent in some of my other videos, and even in this video as I zoom back a little bit further. Um, Plus, two, why are we seeing this steam on the driveway? It's being illuminated by the light, and there I kind of walk by. Um, and you kind of seen how my feet, you'd have to slow it down, which I do a lot. I slow my video footage down and even pause it and look at it and try to figure out what's going on. And to me, a lot of this is obvious that you see this little object right in front of the wooden pole, kind of look like it's kind of distorted. Well, that distortion makes the object, distort up and down and side to side. Um, and these are these effects that occur. These are just optical effects. It's not that the object is rising, but again, it has to be within my line of sight for anything to be affected by the optics. Anything below, like you don't see the grass popping up um, from behind. Uh, well, it's easier to show when you look over there toward the fence how you see there's no gap in between, or there's not much of a gap in between the panel fence and the bottom. Now, there is a little gap there, but you can't see it because the fence panel is being pulled down as the surface diffraction, right? The surface is being diffracted upward while what's above it is being diffracted downward or refracted downward. Is it diffraction or refraction? It's kind of funny when you look at things in a certain way or you start looking at it, um, and you can really see how this steam can actually cause an obstruction in itself. And this is what we're looking at when we see across the water and we're looking at all of this evaporating water coming off the surface. It does create a mirroring effect, which again, these are obviously, smaller, less distant uh, observations that prove that this is occurring, because you do see the mirroring in the grass just above the diffracted driveway. And this is light too. Light diffraction, light reflections, all play a role in this. And you can see that there's that one leaf that was real quick there. Um, but I also took some pictures one morning too that I thought was pretty interesting. That really shows how the water molecules, water vapor in the air, um, are being illuminated. Otherwise, you would not see it. Like here, where you got the sun rays shining through. Well, what is these sun rays shining through and hitting? It's hitting that morning mist in the air, that little bit of fog or the humidity left in the air, and it's illuminating it. And this is something too that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, this illumination of the atmosphere, or these water molecules, as I want to call it. Um, but this does affect things, and it does affect our visibility, because if you imagine looking through miles and miles of this, what would happen? You would not see past it. It would become an obstruction where you can no longer see anything beyond it. So again, realize the real eyes. And this is something that we can go out and see with our real eyes if you just look and take a little bit of time to look at it. All right, thanks a lot for watching.